Hey Guitar Heroes, this is Mel from How to Play Guitars with an S.com. Today we are playing through this book right here, Guitar Aerobics. We are on day 6 of 365 exercises, or 365 days for a normal year. And we are talking about the A minor pentatonic, which we also talked about on day 2 and day 3. In fact, I'll put a link up there somewhere for that. And we're talking about day 6 though, and we were still dealing with the A minor pentatonic that we dealt with in days 2 and 3. But today we're dealing with something called Hammer-Ons, which simply means that we're just taking that, starting that 5th fret on the low E string, and then hammering on to the 8th fret on that same string. In this case with our pinky. And then 5th to 7th, hammering on from 5 to 7 on the A string, 5 to 7 on the D, 5 to 7 on the G, 5 to 8 on the B, 5 to 8 on the high E. Now the other thing I'm actually thinking about when I do these is I'm thinking the notes A to C, D to E, G to A, C to D, E to G, and then A to C. Now on some of these notes, and in fact at the top of that, we actually do this little hammer on and go back to the A. I add a little bit of vibrato to the notes, which there's different kinds of vibrato. I'm basically just doing a rock vibrato right now, but there's also like a B.B. King vibrato, right? There's the classical side to side vibrato, and then there's sort of the mixture between those, like the Steve Vai type of vibrato where it's sort of almost like circular, right? Almost like massaging the note. Anyway, I'm just adding a little bit of vibrato to some of those notes. I encourage you to like play around with these notes doing that kind of thing. Now, right now, honestly, I'm also playing around with pull-offs, which literally will be next week around the same time. Next week, we'll do the reverse of this, which will be the pull-off. But it's good to start like sort of getting a handle on some of that right now. But today we're mostly focusing on just that hammer-on. Now I could pick it all downs, or I could pick down, up, down, up, down, up. I feel like that's faster. Right, that type of thing. I want you to actually really just work on, though, just getting a nice sound when you hammer that on. That second note, I really want it to come out. And you know, even though you may pick the first note louder, it's actually not going to help as much as you think it is. I'll help it a little bit, but it's all about the finger of the force of the finger hitting the string and how well it hits. Now, on the 5 to 8 ones on the low E and the high E and the B string, now you could do it with the first and third fingers. It's a little bit of a stretch for me there. I can still do it. I prefer the pinky. When I was in college, I really had to work on my pinky, because I hadn't worked on it as much prior to that, a little bit, but not as much as I needed to. So in college, I really honed in on that. And I would encourage you as soon as possible to get a grip on that now. It'll make things a lot easier later on down the road. But that's essentially what today's riff is. And the metronome markings are between 40 and 120. So 40 being the slowest beats per minute and 120 being the fastest. Obviously, you can start slower and you can go faster at your heart's content. But I want you to get a good sound out of this. And the other part about that is playing rhythmically. Because a lot of times when people are working on hammer-ons, it's either really fast or really slow. Most of the time it's like fast, like, right, that kind of thing. But you actually want to make a rhythm with it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with a metronome. Okay? And the vibrato at the end is really optional. That's completely up to you. We can do vibrato for another day. And in fact, I actually could easily do a video just on vibrato alone. And it would probably be a very helpful video. So maybe I'll do that at some point. You can certainly comment below if you'd like that. Or I actually have a community here online and on YouTube you can get involved with. Look for that. And I also have communities on School, SKOOL, facebook.com/Unleash Your Inner Guitar Hero. You can get involved in that one. Also on Facebook, Unleash Your Inner Guitar Hero. And I have a website, howtoplayguitars.com. And in one of those places, you actually might be able to look me up and actually find out a way to connect with me and get lessons with me one-on-one, either virtually or in person. So let me know if that interests you in a comment below or by joining one of those communities, and we'll talk about that here soon. In the meantime, I want you to just practice playing through this. I'm trying to play right on the tips of the fingers. So I'm sort of doing the reverse of it as well. I want you to practice playing on the tips of the fingers and trying not to play any other strings when you do that. So only hitting the one string and not hitting more than one string at the same time. That can be a tricky thing, especially like on the B string, for example, with that hammer on there. So practice that. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.